The ultimatum, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, stretched far beyond what human eyes could easily see. Towers of crystal rose high into the artificial sky, and representatives from 40 different worlds sat in their designated seats. The Council had ruled this part of the galaxy for over 10,000 years. They kept peace. They enforced laws. They decided which species would rise and which would fall. Today, they would decide the fate of humanity. High Commander Valen stood at the center podium. His species, the Cortax, had been part of the Council since its beginning. His gray skin seemed to absorb the light around him, and his 4 eyes scanned the room with cold authority. "The matter of Earth must be settled today," Valen announced. His voice carried through the chamber without need for technology. "The humans have rejected our guidance for the last time." Murmurs spread through the assembled delegates. Some showed agreement. Others showed concern. But none showed fear. Why would they? Humans were newcomers. Babies in the cosmic timeline. Ambassador Kyle Morris stood alone in the defendant's circle. He was the only human in the room, and he felt the weight of 40 civilizations staring at him. He was 53 years old, gray at the temples, and tired of playing diplomat to aliens who saw his species as children. "We have been patient with your kind," Valen continued. 50 years ago, you reached beyond your planet. We welcomed you. We offered you our wisdom, our technology, our protection. For a price," Kyle said quietly. The chamber fell silent. Speaking out of turn was forbidden. But Kyle was done following their rules. Valen's eyes narrowed. "Everything has a price, human. We asked only for your obedience, your acceptance of our authority. These are small things." "Small to you," Kyle replied. "But humanity has never bowed to tyrants. Not on Earth, not in space. Not ever." Another delegate rose. This one was from the Helian species, tall, thin, with skin that glowed faintly blue. "Your pride will destroy you," the delegate said. "Do you understand what you refuse? The Council controls trade routes, communication networks, resource distribution. Without our approval, your colonies will starve. Your ships will have nowhere to dock. You will be alone in the darkness of space." Kyle looked at the delegate. Then he looked at Valen. Then he looked at every alien face in that chamber. "We've been alone before," he said. "We survived ice ages, plagues, world wars. We split the atom. We touched the stars. We did all of it without your help. We'll continue without your chains." Valen's expression hardened. "Then you choose conflict." "No," Kyle said. "You chose conflict when you demanded we kneel. We're just refusing to fall." The vote was quick. 38 voted to enforce the ultimatum. Only 2 voted against. Humanity would either submit within 30 days or face the full might of the Galactic Council. Kyle returned to his ship that evening. The vessel was called the Defiant, a fitting name, he thought. As Earth came into view on his approach, he opened a channel to Fleet Command. "Admiral Carter," Kyle said. They didn't listen. On the other end, Admiral Lisa Carter sat in the command center deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean. She had been a soldier for 30 years. She had commanded fleets through the border wars. She had never lost a battle she wasn't supposed to lose. "Then we prepare," Carter said. "How long do we have?" 30 days. Carter nodded, though Kyle couldn't see it. 30 days. They think that's enough time for us to panic, to beg, to surrender. What do we do, Admiral? Carter smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who had been waiting for this moment. "We show them why humans don't make good victims," she said. "Contact Captain Reed. Tell him to gather the fleet. And someone wake up the engineers. We're going to need every crazy idea they've ever had." The Galactic Council had made their decision. They would teach humanity a lesson. They didn't know that humanity was about to teach them one instead. The war begins. The Council fleet arrived at the edge of human space on day 28. They didn't wait for the deadline. Why would they? The outcome was certain. 300 warships emerged from jump space. Each vessel was larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their weapons could crack planets. Their shields could withstand star fire. The fleet represented 40 worlds and 10,000 years of military tradition. Commander Valen watched from his flagship, the Eternal Order. Beside him stood Fleet Master Torin, a veteran of 50 campaigns across the galaxy. The humans have scattered their forces, Torin reported. Our sensors detect small groups hiding in the asteroid fields, behind moons, in the debris fields of old mining operations. Hiding, Valen said with satisfaction. They know they cannot win. Should we offer one final chance to surrender? Valen considered this. The Council was not cruel. They believed in order, in proper hierarchy. Open a channel to Earth. The communication connected instantly. Admiral Carter's face appeared on the screen. She sat in her command chair, calm and composed. Commander Valen, she said, come to accept our terms? Valen's eyes widened slightly. Human arrogance never ceased to amaze him. We are here to enforce the Council's decision. Surrender now, and your species will be spared? Spared. Carter laughed. You brought 300 ships to spare us? That's generous. This is your last warning. Carter leaned forward. No, Commander. This is yours. Turn your fleet around. Go home. Forget you ever threatened humanity. You have no fleet capable of stopping us. We'll see. Carter smiled. One more thing, Commander. You should know humans don't fight fair. We never have. The transmission ended. Torin looked at Valen. What did she mean? It doesn't matter, Valen said. Begin the assault. Target their military installations first. Show them the futility of resistance. The Council fleet moved forward in perfect formation. It was beautiful, a display of coordination that took centuries to master. Each ship knew its place. Each captain followed doctrine. That's when the first mine exploded. It wasn't a large explosion, just enough to damage the shields of the lead vessel. But it was unexpected. The Council didn't use mines. They were considered dishonorable weapons, and a second mine detonated. Then a third. Evasive maneuvers. Torin shouted. But the fleet's formation was too tight. Too perfect. Ships couldn't maneuver without risking collision. In their pursuit of order, they had made themselves vulnerable. More mines exploded, hidden in the debris, disguised as asteroids, floating dormant until the Council fleet entered their kill zone. This is against the rules of warfare. Valen protested. From somewhere in the darkness, a response came over open channels. It was Captain James Reed, commander of the human ship Vengeance. What rules? Reed's voice was casual, almost amused. We never agreed to your rules, Commander. Human ships appeared from behind the asteroids. They were small, fast, and they moved in ways that made no tactical sense. They didn't hold formation. They didn't coordinate in any recognizable pattern. They attacked from every direction at once. The Council ships tried to respond. Their weapons were powerful, but slow, designed for ship-to-ship combat against opponents who followed doctrine. The human vessels were too quick, too erratic. A human fighter swooped beneath a Council destroyer, attaching something to the hull before darting away. Seconds later, that section of the ship exploded from the inside. They're using boarding charges. Torin reported in disbelief. They're manually placing explosives. More human ships attacked. Some carried missiles. Others carried kinetic rounds, simple metal projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds. The Council's shields were designed to stop energy weapons. Chunks of metal simply punched through. "This is madness," Valen shouted. "They're sacrificing themselves." But the humans weren't dying. They were winning. Captain Reed's voice came through again. "You wanted to teach us a lesson, Commander? Let me teach you one instead. Humans have been fighting each other for 10,000 years. We know every dirty trick, every ambush, every way to kill something bigger and stronger than ourselves." Another Council ship went dark, its engines destroyed by a well-placed missile. "We learned warfare in trenches filled with mud and blood," Reed continued. "In jungles where every shadow hid death. In cities reduced to rubble. We didn't learn it in academies. We learned it by surviving." The Council fleet was in chaos. Ships broke formation. Some tried to retreat. Others fired wildly, hitting their own vessels. "Fall back," Valen ordered. "Regroup at Rally Point 7. The fleet retreated. Of the 300 ships that had entered human space, 12 had been destroyed. 40 more were damaged. They had faced less than 50 human vessels dot as the Council ships jumped away. Admiral Carter watched from Earth. "Damage report," she ordered. 7 ships lost, an officer reported. 13 damaged. The mines worked better than expected. Carter nodded. The losses hurt. Every ship represented lives, resources, sacrifice. But they had proven something important. Humans could fight, and they could win. On the Eternal Order, Valen sat in silence. Torin finally spoke. "Commander, perhaps we should reconsider—" "No," Valen interrupted. "We will return with more ships, more weapons. We will crush them." But even as he said it, doubt crept into his mind. The humans had done something no species had done in 1,000 years. They had made the Galactic Council bleed. Asterisk. The new Order 3 months passed. The war spread across human space like wildfire. The Galactic Council sent more ships. Humanity built more weapons. Every battle taught both sides terrible lessons. The Council learned that humans adapted. After every engagement, human tactics changed. They studied captured technology. They modified their weapons. They found weaknesses the Council didn't know existed. The humans learned the cost of defiance. Colonies burned. Ships were lost. Millions died. But surrender was never discussed. Not once. The turning point came at the Battle of New Terra. The Council assembled their largest, Fleet 800 ships from 20 different worlds. They would overwhelm humanity through sheer numbers. Commander Valen led them personally. This would be the final battle. New Terra was humanity's largest colony beyond Earth. 2 million people lived there. The Council expected the humans to defend it with everything they had. Admiral Carter had other plans. The Council fleet entered the system and found it nearly empty. Only a small defensive force remained. It seemed humanity had abandoned the colony. "It's a trap," Torin warned. "Of course it's a trap," Valen replied. "But we have superior numbers. Whatever they plan, we can withstand it." The Council fleet moved into orbit. That's when the civilian ships appeared, hundreds of them. Cargo haulers, mining vessels, transport ships. Every human civilian craft in the sector converged on New Terra. The Council hesitated. Their doctrine forbade firing on civilian vessels. "They're not armed," Torin confirmed. "Our sensors detect no weapons." Then the civilian ships opened their cargo bays. Thousands of small objects spilled into space. It looked like debris. Scrap metal. Junk. What are they doing? Valen demanded. Admiral Carter's voice answered over open channels. "You wanted to know how humans fight? We use everything. Every resource. every advantage. The objects weren't debris. They were drones. Thousands of autonomous fighters, each one armed with a single explosive charge. They had been built in secret, launched from civilian ships to avoid detection. The drone swarm attacked. The Council fleet's advanced weapons couldn't track them all. For every drone destroyed, 10 more got through. They covered the ships like insects, exploding against hulls, destroying sensors, breaching shields. Then the real human fleet arrived. They jumped in from 3 directions. Captain Reed led the assault. His ship, the Vengeance, had been retrofitted with captured Council weapons. Other human vessels had been similarly upgraded. For Earth, Reed shouted over the battle channel. For every colony they threatened. For everyone we lost. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Council fleet was shattered. Half their ships were destroyed. The rest retreated in disorder. Valen's flagship was among the damaged vessels. As his ship limped away, he finally understood. The humans hadn't just fought them. They had outhought them, outworked them, outfussled them. The Galactic Council called for an emergency session 1 week later. This time, Admiral Carter attended. She walked into the Great Hall, wearing her military uniform, not diplomatic robes. Captain Reed stood beside her. Ambassador Kyle Morris was there too. Commander Valen rose to speak. He looked older now, tired. The Council acknowledges, he began slowly, that our approach to humanity was ... flawed. Flawed? Carter replied, "You tried to enslave us. We tried to guide you, to bring order. By force," Reed added, "without consent." Valen's shoulders sagged. Yes, and we were wrong. Silence filled the chamber. These words had never been spoken in the Council's 10,000-year history. Another delegate stood. It was the Helian representative who had warned Kyle months ago. We have debated for days. Some want to continue the war. But most of us see the truth. Humanity cannot be conquered. You are too stubborn, too inventive, too willing to sacrifice. We don't want war, Carter said. We never did. We just want to be left alone, to build our own future. And if we agree? The Helian asked. If we grant humanity independence? Full sovereignty? Then we stop fighting, Carter said simply. Valen looked at her. That's all? No revenge? No demands? We're not conquerors, Carter replied. We're survivors. Give us respect, and we'll give you peace. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would be recognized as a sovereign power. All Council claims to human space were withdrawn. A new treaty was drafted, the first treaty in Council history, written between equals ... as the session ended. Other delegates approached Carter quietly. Representatives from smaller species. Those who had been forced to join the Council long ago. You showed us something, one whispered. You showed us that the Council can be challenged. That resistance is possible. Carter smiled sadly. Every species has the right to determine its own fate. If you want freedom, fight for it. We'll help where we can. In the months that followed, the galaxy changed. 3 species petitioned to leave the Council. Others demanded reforms. The old order was crumbling. Humanity took its place among the stars, not as subjects, but as equals. Earth ships traveled freely. Human colonies grew. New alliances formed. Commander Valen retired shortly after the treaty signing. In his final report, he wrote a single sentence that became famous across the galaxy. We learned that opposing humanity was not our first mistake. Our first mistake was believing that any species should be forced to bow. Captain Reed stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, watching Earth rotate slowly below. Beside him, Admiral Carter reviewed deployment orders. What now? Reed asked. Carter smiled. Now we explore. We build. We live. Isn't that what we fought for? And if the Council comes back? They won't, Carter said confidently. They made one mistake. They won't make it twice. Humanity had proven something the galaxy needed to learn. Freedom cannot be given. It must be taken. Respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned. The Galactic Council had opposed humanity. They had sent fleets. They had threatened annihilation. And humanity had taught them the most important lesson of all: never underestimate those who refuse to kneel. The end asterisk.